Tom said, "How the heck are you tonight?" Me, I'm doing real good, honestly. And tis the season. Got through Thanksgiving, right? Y'all did it? Eat too much? And now we're headed into the Christmas holidays. So got some things to cover there. Got a few things that come in from a viewer that I want to get. If any of these new folks have read that thing, I want to go over that with them because what he was talking about is not good animal husbandry practices, and I want to clarify that with you so that we don't have any young folks starting out and getting out there and getting a little crazy. And so we'll be doing that. Yeah, I'll show off my Christmas decorations. You will be impressed. Alrighty, well, let's get this thing going. See you in just a second. First thing I want to get into, I just swapped my calendar here at the desk out to December. Yeah. For some reason, I use the one in the kitchen a lot. Don't use this one much. But it's one of those you might be a redneck if kind of things. And when I turned the page, it was you might be a redneck if your Christmas tree decorations literally cost you nothing. Literally. I thought, okay, I finally stepped over the line. I'd had a friend give me a lot of trouble about not putting up a Christmas tree. And to avoid any, religious discussions or anything like that with him, I found this at work. I was now working at the feed store over the weekend. And I found this. And let me show you. Hope you can see that. There is, right there, my Christmas tree. Okay. It was actually a limb that broke off of a Christmas tree and was laying there in the parking lot. So I stuck a bow on it, and there you go. There's my Christmas tree. And then I opened the calendar up and thought, oh my goodness. So, yeah, I'd taken a picture of it and texted it to him. And so there you go. Leave me alone now. So, yeah, I have a Christmas tree. Although I need to get rid of it because the thing is so dried out that it's probably a fire hazard. But anyway, let's get down to some stuff. I had a fella comment, which I'm going to do a video for this guy because, yeah, he commented about a lot of things. And a little ornery, kind of a trollish thing. And I really started picking up a vibe from this guy's comments. And then I look and I had one comment that had been flagged by YouTube. And so I went up to take a look at it, and this thing disappeared. I mean, just disappeared. I don't know if it was something YouTube was doing. I know they're having a lot of yada yada with their systems right now. But I wanted to do a copy and paste of the comment so I didn't misquote him in any way. But one of the things that he did talk about was that he was a follower of Marxist communism and how it's just never worked because nobody's really tried it the right way. God, have I heard that one before. Yeah, there's a reason it's never been tried the right way because it doesn't work. Okay. Gosh. But anyway, so, and there were some other things he'd said in that one that I needed to address with him because the guy was totally an idiot. But one of the things that he had brought up, and I didn't know if anybody had read this, and let me get to this so I can see if it's right or not. Yeah. Was on the topic of breeding cattle and how inbreeding was bad. and he was talking about, and I am going to remove the comment once I get this video out in there, primarily to the fact that I don't want, and this site really is for a lot of new homesteaders also, and I don't want them reading into this that this is an acceptable breeding practice, because it is not. It is a, I guess at best, it is a poor breeding practice, poor animal husbandry. But even worse than that, it rips people off, which makes it doubly bad. And that is what they call line breeding. All right, now inbreeding, and this is where line breeders try to draw the line. They call inbreeding just breeding between a parent and a sibling. Okay, well, that is the definition of inbreeding. Also included in the definition of inbreeding is crossing, breeding two siblings together from the same parents. That is also inbreeding. And that is the starting point for what they call line breeding. Okay? And that is where they start breeding down through the lineage, and want to eventually get down to where it's like second or third cousins. And they say at that point, most of the genetic problems disappear. No kidding. Does the same thing in humans. Refer back to the video. I say think humans when you're thinking about breeding cattle. Okay? There are some states that allow second and third cousins to become married, primarily because there's a very small chance of them having genetic problems with their offsprings. Okay? So, you know, yeah, it's tolerated. But he sent a link to an article from a line breeder, and they were talking about, you know, that they really watch their herd for genetics problems to crop up, and they immediately cull them from their herd when it happens. And this is where I have a problem with their integrity. And they say how they have to really keep culling that herd. Okay, well, that tells you something's wrong with your breeding program right there. Okay? If you're producing genetically defective animals, you have a problem with your breeding program. Okay? That's simple. Secondly, when they're talking about culling them from their herd, if they were talking about taking an excavator out into their back 40 and digging a big hole and running those cattle in them and shoot them in the head and bury them, I'd have no problem with them. The problem is that is not how they cull their herds. How they cull their herds is they load them up on a trailer and they take them to auction and they sell them to some unsuspecting fool. Yeah. So suddenly a new homesteader starting out goes to an auction, buys some cattle, and finds out that they've got these genetic problems where they're throwing off deformed calves or having a lot of stillbirths or sterile or yada, yada, yada. That's unethical, okay? And when you get into being unethical like that with your breeding program, you need to be out of business, all right? You're nothing but a charlatan. Plus, like I said at the beginning, if you have a breeding program that is throwing off a bunch of genetically defective animals, there's something wrong with your breeding program, right? That's simple. Some of the history of line breeding. The Hereford cow, back in the Hereford beef cow, back in the, you know, right after the turn of the century or 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, they had so screwed up the Hereford beef cow through inbreeding and line breeding that these things had a dwarf gene pop up in them that they couldn't get rid of. It was breeding mini cows, basically. And it just all but ruined that herd. You know, the Hereford just about disappeared off the list of beef cows because of it. Luckily, some responsible breeders got in there, went over and bought foreign bulls that had not been infected with these defective genes and began injecting new genes into the Hereford breed. Brought the breed back as a beef cow. a great success for line breeding right there. Okay, just about destroyed that breed. Now, modern day, most of the line breeding is being done with dairy cows, primarily with Holstein. We are now starting to hear the reports of where birth defects on the Holstein cows are going through the roof, a lot of stillbirths, and a lot of the bulls are being born sterile. Those are genetic problems, folks, probably due to line breeding. Okay, so and that's becoming a bit of a problem in the dairy industry, to where they're starting to look at, we're going to have to get back to old-fashioned, get some fresh genes into the Hereford line, or into the Holstein line to correct this. So far, it hasn't got much of a track record either. Do not, I repeat, do not get involved in that. Okay? Just, it's not a good idea. Change your bulls out. Okay? Most county extensions, in some counties, they have bulls themselves that they lease out. If not, they've got a list of guys that do. Okay? You can lease a bull for 90 days and put them in the pasture with your girls and get them taken care of that way. There's always, AI in them, where you have a guy come out, and I recommend somebody come out, because being good at artificial insemination, that's kind of an art, and people have learned it. I know a neighbor of mine that could do it very well, but you're looking at about a 70%, even by the pros, of success rate with the AI programs, and but you can get good, solid genetics started in your herd, because you're buying sperm from top-notch bulls. Okay, but it does take some equipment investment and things of this nature, unless you can find a company that's out there doing it in your area. That's the way to go. Or leasing a bull, or buying a bull. Sometimes if you talk to some neighbors, if they're breeding cattle also, you can play musical bulls, which works out real well. Stay away from the line breeding, because just always remember, line breeding starts out breeding siblings, okay, which is by definition inbreeding. So all these genetic problems that inbreeding can bring along, you can stir up in a herd of cattle. All right, you don't want to go there. Why? That's just it. Why? And there are other people who will take and just throw a herd out in the pasture and let them go, and you have inbreeding and line breeding and all sorts of things going out there. And that's fine if they're selling them off for beef cow, selling them for meat, but don't buy one to put in your herd for production, because you may be inheriting a heck of a problem. And that's my big concern with the comment. That is, it's unethical, because, you got to cull. Well, think about it for a minute. If you had a large herd, and you go out there and you go, gee, I got 10 cows I got to get rid of. They're just, throwing off stillbirths, or they're throwing off defective calves. It's a lot of money you're going to lose if you go out and dig a hole, shoot them in the head. Okay? Not going to lose much money if you sell them to somebody else, though, huh? And then this same person that was writing the article says, we were always culling out our herd, because we'd hate to think of us selling a defective animal to another farmer. Well, you wouldn't want to buy them off of your farm, because they're going to come back to you and go, hey, about this cow. But they don't have a problem with running them into auction, because, hey, that's not really a direct sale, hey, we're done. So, a little unethical. There has been problems with it. And yes, by the time you get into second and third cousins, the genes become more stable, and the likelihood of genetic problems really drop. Okay, which is true. All right, it really is true. But at the same time, like I said, some states even recognize second and third cousin marriages for human beings because of that same reason. Is it a good idea? No, not really. Not when, injecting new genes into your herd with changing out bulls is the best thing in the world. Best way to go, really is. And you're not gonna have a problem staring yourself in the mirror whenever it comes time to sell those cows, right? Even at auction. And I talk about culling a cow. If I have a cow that is having a problem, I will usually sell it direct. Okay, I had sold one to a fellow down in Tupelo and just told him straight up, she's a beautiful girl. I don't know of any problems with her, other than the fact she might be a little young, because she wasn't quite 2 years old, and sometimes those get a little frisky and don't want to breed. I said, but she didn't breed out, and he was interested in her, beautiful girl. And I heard back later on that it was, that she accepted breeding on the second round with a mother bull just fine. So he got a good cow. But you don't want to pass your problem children. Okay, if you have a problem, I really prefer selling them direct, and where you can stand eyeball to eyeball and say, these are the things that she's done here or he's done here, and isn't doing real well on grass as well as our regular girls are, whatever, and we're thinning out the herd. This one's got to go. A lot of times, most guys won't have a problem with that. All right, just as long as you're honest. If you were out buying, you would appreciate that honesty. Okay, at least you know what you're buying. See what I'm saying? So try to keep that in mind on line breeding. Not a good idea. It's being used, and it looks like this is going to be, the Holstein may be the second breed that line breeding has really screwed up, and that's sad. And they'll fix it. I mean, good stockmen will get in there with some solid animal husbandry practices, and they'll fix it. But why break it to start with? I guess that's my whole thought. So like I said, I think if you a good way to find out about good breeding practices is talk to like the Angus Association, Breeders Association, and the Brangus, and they're out there for every breed of cow, and see what they recommend. Okay, and you'll find out that they recommend keeping fresh genes coming into the herd, and to not do any inbreeding and line breeding. Okay, it affects the breed. All right. So I wanted to get that one cleared up, and I'm gonna probably remove that entire comment, because I just don't want a year or two down the road some person stumbling across it and going, "Ooh, this is an idea." No, it's not. It's a bad idea. Okay, and the people that are doing it, I mean, seriously, if you want to get to playing with genetics that dangerously, why not just take it to a biotech company and tell them, hey, give me a striped and polka dotted pekin cow, will you? They'll do it for you. God knows what problems you may have down the road with that pretty cow. But they can whip you up the genetic combo to get it done. Let Mother Nature do what Mother Nature does best. And in the natural world, okay, you had situations of inbreeding and line breeding and so forth. But Mother Nature culls that themselves, okay? That's one of the reasons that a lot of genetic defects show up in cows that can't, they keep having stillbirths. They don't pass their genes along. Mother Nature can't take care of that, huh? It's going to die with you, sweetheart. When you're gone, the problem's gone. So, good animal husbandry means fresh genes, which means you're going to have to rotate your bulls. Or, like I said, if you've got a good standing stock of cows and you have a great bull, sell the heifers. Get rid of them. Sometimes you can even work a deal with, you sell those off and buy some fresh heifers, bring in to your, of some replacement girls that are not related to that bull. A lot of guys do it that way too. So instead of trading out the bull, you trade out the heifers. And it's usually pretty much a cash wash. You're selling replacement cows, you're buying replacement cows, it's pretty much going to be a wash. So, and that way sometimes you can look at and find a better genetically sound replacement heifer for the ones you're wanting to get rid of. Okay? So, like I said, talk with the breeders associations with, the stuff like the Angus and Brangus and things of this nature, and get their advice. Stay away from playing with the genes too heavy. Like I said, there's mild genetic changes that allow a cow to do better on your farm, and that's what you're looking to pass along. Is if you've got cows that are doing real well on your farm, those are the ones you want in your breeding program, because probably their offsprings are going to do real well on your farm. And that's kind of how you want to work it. Not getting crazy with the breeding. Okay. So for you young folks out there just starting out, please avoid stuff like that. It is dangerous for the animal. It is dangerous for you, because you could lose your shirt. Because one of the things in cattle business, your reputation goes a long, long way. And if you trash your reputation, it doesn't take long before people go, oh, that came from that guy's farm. Oh. Sell it to McDonald's. I ain't touching it. Okay. They're ready to see Homestead. You guys have a great holiday out there. I'll be talking to you before then, but you guys have a great holiday out there. And I'm going to try to get this other video done for this fellow tonight on his other problems. And that'll be showing up in a couple of days. It'll be more of a rant. Anyway, if I was in person, let's say have a happy holiday. And hey, make it a month-long holiday. Enjoy it. Enjoy time with family. Make it something special. Okay? They're at Tennessee Homestead. We'll talk to you later.